Hello guys, it's Autistan. Welcome to my guide on crafting, grafting and load filtering. Before I start, I have a disclaimer. If you watched the previous video on my .NIGHT build and if you pay attention to this video, the build I'm running right now is a little bit different. And I won't tease too much about it, but let me just say that the build went through an episode of Pimp My Ride and now it has neon light in the butt crack. So pay attention to the next video, it's gonna be fun. To understand how the loot filter works, you need to understand what's an highlighted stat and what's a pure stat. An highlighted stat is just a statistic that you clicked on your character sheet and it's going to highlight items that got that statistic on them. Now what's a pure stat? It's just a green affix that indicates you the affixes you're looking at as a range above on a normal range. And to not go into too much detail, but the more exclamation point you see after that statistic, the higher the range is. So the way the loot filter works is by filtering by rarity. For each rarity, you're gonna have the same panel of choices to do. So once you have decided to hide a specific rarity, you're gonna create exclusion rule for that. And that's what the button at the bottom are. So for example, you want to hide all the normal item, but you're interested in seeing item with pure statistic because you might want to use them for something. And you click that button and it's going to show you all the normal item with a pure stat, no matter what pure stat. Now, you want to hide the normal item, but you want to see item with pure stat, and the pure stat are from your highlighted stat. Then you need to click the second button below the pure stat. This is going to make it so all the pure stats that are shown are from the one you've selected on your character sheet. If you click the second one at the bottom, it's going to show you both of them. Either the item has a pure stat or it has an highlighted stat. And that's the difference between and or. This is the or. The other has a pure stat or an highlighted stat. And this one is the hand. It has a pure stat and it's highlighted on your character sheet. And you can add another hand, which is the perfect score, 3 exclamation points. This is the stricter loot filter you can run. Okay? Now if you want to be less strict and you're starting the game, what you want to see is actually just highlighting your item with statistics that are on your build. This is going to save you some money when you are crafting your gear to rare the blue. For example, this is the loot filter I am running right now on every single rarity because all I want to see is item with perfect score. No matter what rarity, my goal is to build a stack of item with perfect score that I can pick from to build anything onto nether gear. So the loot filter was actually the hard part. Now the crafting part is actually fun, very deterministic, and there's no secret about it. The only thing you need to understand is that you need to have enough money and crafting material to run a cycle. So what's a cycle? Well, let's look at it. I have a new piece of gear right now. I want to replace my belt. So I'm gonna start by looking at the base stats. And I see that on my previous one, I have ancestral extractions. So that's the statistic I want to run. Now, before running it, I need to check if I have enough money for the cycle. So I look at how many stats there is in the possible outcome, and I look at how much it cost me per click, and I need to make sure I can click enough time to run every possible outcome. That is a cycle. And why do we do that? Because every time we go through the cycle, the statistic that have been run and gotten by the click during that cycle cannot come out again before we run the full cycle. So right now you can see I cannot roll aura increased effect because it's already on the item. Same goes for the evasion. So I'm gonna click, and now you can see the aura increased effect is orange. It means I cannot roll that one again. And the gray stat is always the same meaning. It means it's already on the item. It cannot be rolled. So I'm gonna keep clicking until I hit my ancestral extractions. And as you can see, every time it's a different stat from the cycle. And looks like we did a full cycle, and that's a perfect example of why you need to have enough money to go through the whole cycle. Because let's say now I don't have enough money to click again. Well, it's wasted because I'm gonna have to go back, farm some more, leave the bench, and come back to it later, and I'm gonna have to restart the whole cycle again. And that's a loss. So you want to make sure every time you look for a base stat, you have enough to go through a whole cycle. Now I can click it, and there it is, the statistic I wanted. Now, let's say you misclick, and you click one more time. Now, the cycle resets, because we already done one cycle, now it's gonna go back again for another cycle. But there is this little button right here. It's gonna go back to the previous roll. And just by clicking it, I just come back again. But you can only do that once. And second thing is when you click on it, it's also going to reset the cycle. That's very important to know. So now I just do the same thing for every part of the item to match it to what it is on the previous one. And there it is. Every affixes on my item matches what I want on my planner and what it was on my previous item, including the legendary effect, the epic stat, the mastery, the affinity, everything's the same. And the way I did it is just like the basic stat. I made sure I had enough currency to go through the cycle and hit the stat I wanted, and kept on going until every stats was what I wanted, including the legendary effect. But you don't see any possible outcome list right now. So you might be thinking it's completely random, but it's not. It's actually also going through a cycle. It's just not displayed. So look in the description below. I posted a link for you to see how many different possible outcomes there is on each different pieces of gear. So for example, on belt, using that application, I knew there was 16 different legendary effects. So that's what I looked at to see if I have enough crafting material and gold. And the fun continues because now we can divine the item. So if you play PoE, you know what it means. If you don't, well, it means we are gonna reforge all the scores, so we get the maximum output in the range of the affixes of the item. So for example, I want to roll the ancestral extractions to be 5%. How do I do that? Well, I'm gonna use the reforge all score. Before you do that, you want to pay very attention to which stats are locked. If you don't know, there is a visual indicator. Every stat that's going to be rolled is highlighted in orange. Be careful though, the legendary effect is also highlighted in orange, but since the text is the same color, you kind of miss it sometimes. So here I know that the legendary effect is not locked, and I want to lock it. So the price in gold is very cheap, and it costs only one crafting material. So I'm gonna lock it, and there it is. It's max roll, and I don't have to think about it again. Now the pure stat. The pure stat cannot be rolled. If you roll a pure stat, poop, it's gone. Bye-bye. Goodbye. Adios. It's not coming back. So be very careful and always lock your pure stats no matter what. And now we can reforge them. And that's the very, very fun part. You're gonna keep on clicking until you see a stats that hit max. So you need to pay attention, and you click, and you click, and you click again until you hit, there we go, 5% on my ancestral extractions. So I'm gonna lock that one, go back, check, double check if I don't have any other, no, it's good. And I'm gonna keep going. There we go, elite damage, another one. We lock that one. Back at it again. I told you it's very fun. Be careful not to have too much fun. Well, I'm gonna skip it for the sake of the video, because it's boring as fuck, but That's what you do. You just keep rolling, you hit a high score, you like it, and you keep on going. Now, don't be shy. The Slormancer of Fate costs nothing to craft. It's like to craft 10,000. See, it's very cheap. Crafting one costs almost nothing. So don't be shy. Use them. Craft them when you have extra fragment that you're not using, and just roll your max score. It doesn't cost much to do it, and when every item is rolled to the max, it's way better. So that's it. Every stats is max rolled. Now, I forgot to mention that the 3 stats below the legendary effect are not rolled with the Reforged Old score. You can only roll them individually one by one. But now that it's done, we can add the last touch, which is maxing out the item. So if you get a pre-Nether gear, you level it up to 100 if it's not already. And for Nether gear, you level it up to 120. So now we can actually go and enhance it to plus 15. To do that, I'm gonna first make some little stack of epic slum line, and I'm gonna make some stacks of 7. Here we go, I've got my stacks, I've got my item, and now I can make it plus 15. So the first choice would be, since it's a plus 0 item, to put a plus 0 slormate in it, and put a stacks of 7 slum line to make it 100% chance. Since I have 0 potential, I have 0 chance at tier 0. So my first choice would be to use the slum line to increase that chance of upgrade. But it's not worth it. With slum light, what you can do is use a higher tier of slormite. So for each tier above the tier of the item, I'm gonna get 25% chance to get the success. So if I use a tier 1 on a tier 0, I get 25. If I get a tier 2 on a tier 0, I get 50, and so on, until I get a tier 4 on a tier 0 and get 100% chance. Which is what I'm gonna do, because it cost me nothing, and this slormite is very easy to get. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna do my plus 1 like that. Go 1 tier higher, and do my plus 2. Now that I'm at plus 6, I kind of want to save up on these rarest of Slormite. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the actual tier of the Slormite, and I'm going to start using these stacks of 7. So 7 plus 13. And now I kind of want to jump from 13 to 15. So I'm gonna do the same thing. Get to 15 by guaranteeing a double reinforcement. So for that, I'm just gonna use 20 of the Slormandite of Virtue. And I'm gonna counteract the downside of the Slormandite with the Slormandite of Harmony. So now I'm gonna put the 60 Slormandite that I need to reduce the failure chance. So failure is a multiplier to your success. That's a 0% failure means 100% success. And with 100% chance to double reinforce, I'm gonna now get to 15 and have my piece of gear ready to swap. So depending on your crafting material situation, there is another method you might want to use to enhance your gear. So for example, let's take a random piece of gear, and you're just gonna use Slormandite of Aptitude. And the first one, you're gonna use a tier 4, like the first method, and put a full stack of 30. And now it's a plus 1, but it's a plus 1 with 100% potential, compared to the 0 it was at the tier below. And now you can use the actual Slormandite of the tier of the item to get a 100% chance. And all you have to do is keep feeding it stack of 30 Slormandite of Aptitude to get to the next tier. Now you can also use the very premium recipe to grow your item 2 level by 2 level, right? And this is it. now you're gonna use the same tier Slormite, and if you want to use a lower tier Slormite, you're gonna lose, or either you're gonna gain 50% failure per tier under the tier of your item. So a tier 3 item, if I put a tier 2 Slormite, it's 50, and then tier 1 is gonna be 100. So for every tier below the Slormite of the tier of your item, you need to add 50 Slormandite of Harmony. So this is the different methods that I have used in this game, but it's also not the only one. There are probably people that have figured out better recipe. You also need to figure out which one is the best for you, depending on what is your material situation, Slormite situation, and what is the tier of your item, and what tier do you want to reach. That's all gonna be factoring into what's the best decision for you, and you need to grasp what every Slormandite is doing. So my goal is that from the recipe I have showcased, you guys deduce some usage for the material and get to improve your item as soon as possible. And there it is, all nice, tight in its slot, you shiny item. And if you pay attention under the level of the item, you can see graft 2.3. So it means I have 3 grafting possible on the item. So what is it and how do you use it? Well, it's a new menu at the bottom of the crafting shop. You're gonna put an item on it. So let's say I wanna use the last graft on my amulet. And the idea is to extract a line from any other piece. It doesn't have to be an amulet, it can be any piece, and put it in its counterpart on replace its counterpart on the amulet. So, for example, if I wanted to get the max life from this amulet, it's in the defense stat, which means it will replace the defense stat on my amulet. You cannot put a base stat into a magic stat. It has to be in the counterpart. Also, what is very interesting with grafting is that you can take a legendary effect, for example, from these boots, and I can choose to put it on the amulet, which is what I already did with this amulet. If you look at it, you can see that it's a legendary cape effect on my amulet. And I already grafted the defense stat, evasion, for my second graft. And now I'm gonna put the last graft on it, which is this amulet that I got earlier. And I want to take the magic stat, ancestral strictions, and replace the magic stat, ancestral strictions on my nether amulet. So for that, I'm gonna just scroll down to magic stat and just make sure it's okay. Click graft. It's gonna consume a graft attempt. Now I'm at 0, and the stats replaced it. And that's it. There's nothing more to know about grafting, except maybe 2 things. First, when you craft an item with 2 base stats, you're gonna choose which line you wanna extract by going through this arrow. So you can see I go through elemental res and evasion. If I keep going down, I'm gonna swap to magic stat. So first you choose which line you wanna extract, and the target you wanna replace is chosen by clicking. So I don't know, someone might get confused and replace the wrong side, so I just wanted to put that out there. The second important thing to know is that you cannot have multiple version of the same line on an item. So for example, if I try to extract the movement speed from these boots and put it on my cape, it will tell me that I cannot do it because my magic stat on the cape is already movement speed. So I cannot have multiple version of the same thing. And that's logical because if you start having an item with 3 line of crit damage or ancestral damage, it might be a little bit too game breaking. Alright, that's gonna be it for this video, guys. I hope I did a good job and that you guys learned something. If there is anything that's not clear, feel free to leave a comment and I will answer it to the best of my capability. Also, if you like the content, please subscribe. It's gonna help me grow a lot. Have fun, guys, and see you in the next video.